Hello and welcome to another edition of Highways Presents, where we bring the expert industry knowledge from the road sector to the world. My name is Dominic Brown. I'm the editor of Highways magazine. Thanks for joining me. The question for today is, what's the most environmentally friendly way to maintain a road? Well, there's a company based here in the UK called Roadgrip. They have a system called Longitudinal Diamond Grinding. It's a way of increasing the lifespan of the road by treating the road surface itself. Doesn't use any new materials, no virgin aggregate, barely any carbon emissions. And you can keep on treating the road to increase its lifespan by over 50 years. That's a massive intervention on the market. The system is focused primarily on concrete roads, but it can be used on asphalt as well. To give you some idea of the importance of the upgrade and maintenance of the concrete roads in this country, I'll just say that Highways England have set aside £400 million in the latest road investment strategy to maintain and upgrade concrete roads on the strategic road network alone. So it's big business, and this system brought in by Roadgrip could save millions and millions of pounds to the UK taxpayer. So here to tell us all about it is the director at Roadgrip, Richard Powell, who is an expert in all things grinding, grooving, rejuvenating, maintaining, increasing the lifespan of our roads, recycling, of course, all without any new materials, just making use of what we've got. So very interesting one, very important one for the sector at the moment. Hope you enjoy. Thank you very much. Richard, tell us about longitudinal diamond grinding, how it works and what it does.
Longitudinal diamond grinding is basically a very quick way of cutting a texture into what is otherwise a structurally sound concrete road and improving the skid resistance characteristics, the noise characteristics, as in it reduces the traffic noise, and also improves the ride quality for the user. It does this basically by grinding in a corduroy type pattern into the surface using a bank of diamond blades, generally speaking 3mm diamond blades with about a 2mm spacing between the two. The blade bank itself is about 1.2 meters wide, and it's based between the midpoint of what is effectively a 10-meter long rolling straight edge. So as it passes over the surface, cutting in the grooves at sort of 4 to 5 millimeters deep, the little upstands between the grooves break off, and what you get is an instant increase in both macro texture and micro texture. That's what improves the friction characteristics and the scrim. Because it is a rolling straight edge, it takes out the bumps between where there's any level differences, particularly at sort of where the slabs meet, where the joints are, and produces a much quieter, much smoother ride with much better friction. All done really in one part of the machine.
Can you take us through the results of your trials and work in the UK and where you think that this system might be applied to our network?
The system itself was initially trialled in the UK about 10 to 15 years ago. Highways England carried out some trials. They brought over a company from the States, along with some equipment from the States at the time, and did some quite extensive areas treated some quite extensive areas of the A12 and the A14 out in the east of England. Everyone got quite excited about it at the time because it did do what it was promised. It improved the skid resistance on the road. It made the roads a lot quieter to travel on. But unfortunately, it was quite an expensive process at the time because obviously they had to bring all the kit over from the States to do it, and started looking instead to doing, rather than the wet diamond grinding process, doing some fine milling of the surface. Unfortunately, one of the side effects that became more apparent over the years of the fine planing process was that by the very nature of the fact that it's quite percussive, whilst it did improve the friction, it made the surface a lot noisier than it previously was. And also had the effect of damaging the joints. Then about 2 years ago, I think Connect Plus, as part of their innovations board with their operation of the M25 network, decided that it would be a good time perhaps to look again at longitudinal grinding, and they had the foresight and the will to actually put together a sort of once and for all comparison of the various treatments that you could do to a concrete road. So they looked again at diamond grinding, fine milling, shot blasting, and a variety of different overlays to see if they could put some science behind, what hadn't really been compared side by side before. At that time, they approached us because we've been grooving and grinding runways and airfields in the UK and all over the world for many, many years, to see if we'd like to get involved. And then basically that's what happened. So a trial was commissioned on the M1 Connect Plus, looking at 5 different options for concrete treatment, one of which was the longitudinal grinding process. That was going to be a 5-year trial. That is a 5-year trial. With some 6-monthly testing, looking at ride quality, scrim, friction, noise, surface degradation, and the like. The monitoring of that trial did show up quite quickly that the longitudinal grinding was performing very, very well. So as Highways England were also involved and very closely watching that trial, it led them to approve the surface. Well, that and the inception of the concrete roads programme that was coming out this year led them to approve the process for use on the high-speed network. So consequently, that was back in the back end of last year. We've since done 2 or 3 live projects on other parts of the network.
You mentioned Connect Plus, they're having the foresight to trial and really compare these different systems. Can you give us a bit more detail and insight into what it takes to bring an innovation like yours onto the network?
Persistence, I would say. I think the standard specifications and the details are obviously a very solid method of ensuring that quality is kept up to standard within the highway network, and the contents of the standard specs has been built up over a period of time on very tried and tested methods. I think certainly Roadgrip found when we were trying to push the longitudinal grinding method that whilst other countries were using it, particularly the States, I mean, it's been used for many, many years in the States, and there's a whole raft of data that shows what it will do over time and how it's proven itself over time. To actually then introduce something over here, you almost have to start from scratch. And really, I think we have to give great credit to somebody like Connect Plus, who really did take the bull by the horns with this. They saw a product that worked, they saw other products that could potentially work, and they thought, well, okay, what we really need to do is some proper trials, live trials on the live network, so that we can actually get some like-for-like results.
Tell us about how environmentally friendly this product is and the environmental benefits it can bring to the UK highway sector.
I think obviously the highway network in the UK is operating very much to its maximum at the moment, and the focus is obviously on improving the existing network as much as possible, without cutting through greenfield sites to create more roads. As a company, we at Roadgrip have always long worked with processes that retexture, rejuvenate, and recycle. So to our minds, from an environmental point of view, working with the roads that we've got without having to reconstruct them would be the long-term strategy that we would certainly promote, and I think that's what Highways England in particular are looking at the moment as well. There are something like 10,000 miles of concrete roads that are in the UK at the moment, and a lot of those roads are still, generally speaking, structurally sound. If you've got a pavement surface that is structurally sound and only really needs minor repairs, To break that up and reinstate it with something else is both costly and not environmentally friendly. Potentially to try and overlay it, which is something that they've done a lot of over the recent years, by doing the joint treatments, putting in stress absorbing membranes, looking at all the various options on that, is also reasonably costly, and it's using virgin materials. It's putting 40-50 mil on top of a surface. When you're doing that, often you've then got to raise the ironwork, you've got to raise the safety barriers. There's a wealth of things that you have to do at the same time. If you take that surface and all you're going to do is use water and diamond blades to plane off the surface, plane off 3 to 4, 5 millimeters of the surface, it'll make it quieter. It'll reduce the noise generated by the traffic by between 5 and 8 decibels, which is much the same as halving the traffic flow on there, or the traffic volume on there. So environmentally speaking, you're just skimming off the surface. You're not using any virgin aggregate. You're just using water and diamond blades. You're making the road quieter. You're not damaging the joints. And you've got a quieter, better riding surface. Almost, I wouldn't say brand new road, but a virtually brand new road for very little environmental cost or indeed financial cost. And if that road stays reasonably structurally sound, you can do this really as any number of times. I mean, it might last 10 to 15 years with the one treatment. You could do it again 10, 15 years later and keep doing it until you're actually taking too much off the surface for it to be, to have the strength that it once had. So it certainly seems to us at Roadgrip that it's a far better method, both cost-wise and environmentally speaking, in the long run, than virtually any other treatment you could look at.
Absolutely, it's brilliant. Just to clarify, you mentioned concrete roads. This treatment is primarily focused on concrete roads. Is that correct?
It is, yeah. It could be used on asphalt, and indeed has been used on asphalt, but because effectively what you're doing is cutting into the surface and allowing the little fillets in between the grooves to break off. It's by the nature of the concrete itself, it lends itself far better to a long-term improvement than it would necessarily with an asphalt surface. It would be used probably more on asphalt for bump cutting if necessary.
Well, congratulations again on a brilliant innovation, and thank you so much for joining us, Richard. For all of our viewers, thanks for watching. And if you do want to get in touch with Roadgrip and find out more about this brilliant innovation, environmentally friendly, improves safety, improves ride quality, you name it, it does it. Keep watching because all of their details will be at the end of this video. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.